Hey everyone, how you doing? Sean Huber here, your mental mechanic. Got another interview with a friend and client, Mr. George. So George's been working with me for a while. So George, introduce yourself, a little bit of background of who you are, what you do.
Yeah, so George Curbelo, I am a financial coach helping folks get a little bit more control of their money. I do work corporate as well, which again, Sean probably has an opinion on that, uh, but I been doing that for many, many years. Been married for 23 years. Two kids. One is 20 and the other is 16 years old, two girls, college and high school. And for me, I just, really trying to expand not only my business as a financial coach, but also really, how do I just be a better person
Okay.
overall?
So George and I are in a professional group, and I invited him to do a 5-day challenge at
Yes.
first. And the 5-day challenge, how'd that impact you?
So for me, it was just, the opportunity to think differently about myself, my situation, where I'm at, and of course, the challenge of like, where can I be from a business standpoint, from a personal standpoint. I think that was the big thing that was an eye opener as part of that 5-day challenge.
So what were you expecting going into coaching after that, what it would be like?
I mean,
What you even knew.
honestly, I was just like, oh, okay, he's gonna, either say some things, or there would be certain things that I would have to do, or I mean, for me, I'm always a suspect about situations where it's like, where am I getting into? Is this the right move? If is this the right investment of my time, kind of thing. But I was to something new, learning new things about myself, and just learning about how can I, just be a better person, physically, mentally, and obviously as a person as who has a business, trying to do right from that too.
Right. And I think the first interesting thing was you're like, I go, hey, George, how's your coaching going? What do you charge for it? And you
Yeah.
told me your price, and what I tell you?
I was like, you're increasing it the first time. So I think when I first got into coaching in 2021, it was obviously I love helping people and wanting to have the get them to be the best when it comes to their money, either savings or whatever goals. But at the same time, I was very in my imposter syndrome, kind of, can I do this? Should I be doing this? I have the skills and I have the knowledge necessary to help people, but I felt like I was still, doubting myself. And you just put that in the like, dude, seriously? No, you're gonna, this is what you're gonna charge. This is how you're gonna approach things. Here's how you're gonna say it. And for me, you sometimes you get a little bit thrown back or like, okay, this guy's just telling me how to do stuff. And I'm like, but your approach allowed me to kind of think a little differently of like, well, why couldn't I do that? Why am I just charging this when I should be charging this? I know the value that I have for what I do and what I can do for folks, but I was still in my way. And you allowed me to kind of like think a little differently here. And it's funny how you're like, you're gonna do it this way though.
But when you did it that way,
Yeah.
how much easier was it doing it that way than the way you were doing it previously?
Well, I mean, the biggest concern was like, how would people respond? Will people want to sign up? Will people want to work with me at that price point? And a lot of times in the beginning, it was like, oh, maybe not. Maybe they won't. Maybe they'll laugh at me, or they won't want to work with me, the kind of thing. But then I started to realize that people who wanted to seriously, get the support and help from a financial standpoint, they're going to want to work with me because they see the value. They see what I can provide them as a coach that allows them to be able to achieve the goals that they've set for themselves, get the discipline, the mindset that's necessary. So for me, that was also a turning point where it's like, okay, well, if this is working, what else could I be doing? What else am I in the way of myself to be able to get something done?
And then that basically goes into the next question. What did that shift for you do in your professional business of the corporate world?
So that
What doors open for you?
Right. So that was the other thing too, was, take advantage of opportunities, talk to people. you work for the corporate world for many, many years, and I was in this position where it's like I know my worth, yet I'm still doing the same job at the same rate, at the same, pay. And I was like, there's got to be more. I was passed up for promotions. I was passed up for, oh, you're doing fantastic, but you're not ready for this. And I just thought it was okay. So for me, it was when we talk about what I did from a coaching standpoint, I was like, well, why can't I do this in everything else that I'm doing? And then
Correct.
I started to like, okay, let me look for opportunities. Who can I network with? Who can I talk to? And and working with you, it was just like, okay, maybe Sean's this, maybe it's coaching business, not a big deal. But then I was able to apply a lot of those principles within, my corporate world. And I was able to get a job through networking, through talking and open to opportunities where I got almost a 40% bump in pay, which, I mean, I've been working X amount of years for the one company, and I think the most that I've ever received each year was, 5% was probably the most. So to be able to see, such a big pay jump, yes, I had to switch companies. I had to do but I was able to really, kind of put stuff on myself to say, yeah, I know my value. Let me go and, take the risk, go somewhere else to another company that will value that skill set and pay me for it. And, ever since I've been, doing really, really well with that. And, really enjoying the fruits of that payoff as well.
So that leads into the next thing where everyone goes, well, how does this work? And I'm like, trust the process, work through it.
Hmm.
You're actually going to work more, take more vacation, be able to do more things
Yep.
with your family, be more present, and be healthier as an individual. And everyone's like, why isn't anyone teaching this? I said,
Yeah.
because the most successful people in the world are doing it.
Right.
And then this opened up some interesting doors for you in the last year. You got to live and purchase in your own home for the first time. Like you lived in a house that your mom rented for since
Oh,
you were
I
born,
mean,
right?
but I lived in New York, 23 years. We lived in an apartment. My mom still lives in that apartment, so God bless there. But lived in that apartment, rented, then moved to Pennsylvania, more renting, did all those kind of things itself. Came to Florida and was like, we can't afford a home. We gotta, let's rent more. I
Right.
think this is the situation. So, and you get to that point, with COVID and all that's happened, we're just like, will we ever be able to afford the home itself? And we just got to a point where it's like, okay, we'll save and we'll see what happens kind of thing. And and about a year ago, I had a neighbor he was like, hey, I'm moving to this again, a neighbor that I, played basketball like once or twice. He was a really cool guy, but he was like, you got to see this place in Palmetto, Palmetto, Florida. And I'm like, okay, great. I'm going to go check this out. Chris, my wife, was like, let's go check it out. And we fell in love with the situation. We're just like, yeah, here's an opportunity. Um, you know, do we build a house? We were like, build a house? We don't even think we could get a house. And now we're thinking, let's build a new one. And we sat down, looked at the finances, looked at what we needed. The house was going to take at least 7 months anyway to build. So it's just like, okay, we have 7 months. Can we get this done? And, my wife and I was like, okay, let's, what kind of money do we have to move around? And this was before I got the job, right?
Right.
Before I even got the raise that I was talking about, I was thinking like, okay, how am I going to manage this? And I was like, you know what? Opportunity's knocking. This happened. We have to take advantage of it. So, we did the 8,000 down that was needed. We did what we was needed to get the build going. And then that was, okay, new job. Oh, wow, we got more money coming in. This is getting a lot easier. We saved more for it. We had the down payment for it, and we just moved in. 4 months ago, we've moved into this house that was just, to our like. We didn't even settle. It wasn't even like, oh, we have a garage that was converted into a bedroom. It's like, no, no, no. We have all the rooms we want. She got the kitchen she wanted, and we got the price point we were looking for. So yeah, I mean, for us, we felt like, being a lot more open to opportunities, a lot more attentive to what it is that we need for us, Because it was always, everybody else. What am I doing something else? What am I doing for others? And it was more of just like, okay, no, we've got to take care of ourselves. And here's how we're going. Here's what we're
An
going to do.
interesting thing that people have to realize is it's not like you doubted and had hesitation the entire time you're going through it. It's that you took action, you followed up with it, and as
Yep.
you're taking action to make decisions, other opportunities start to open up. You
Correct.
start getting more clients for the financial coaching, you get more
Yes.
opportunities. All these things started falling into place. And at the same time, you started exercising more and becoming more
Yes.
aware of your health. And we would talk about all kinds of things that would impact like anxiety and
Yes.
worry. And you made some shifts in that. So how does all this like program type of coaching work differently than just say, oh, we worked on finances or we worked on business? Like
Right.
you overcame some debilitating type of things. How did that work into this equation?
So a lot of things too, because we all like, oh, I got to work hard, right? It's got to work a
Right.
ton of hours, and we've got to like, there's no sleep for the worry, right? That was a lot of that. So for me, it was, I was suffering from a lot of anxiety, didn't know where it was coming. It was never like, oh, something's worrying me, and I'm having anxiety attacks. It was more of just I'm watching television, and all of a sudden I'm having a panic attack, things like that. And we had for that was I had to change something. Something had to be
Right.
different. I knew I didn't exercise as much as I did. The biggest thing though was sleep. And some of the challenges you think about like, and I remember in our coaching, like some of the thing, like what is one thing you wanted to do more of? I remember you were like, and the two things that I wanted to do more of was journaling, write more,
Right.
and sleep, which is so dumb. You're just thinking because I work hard, I do these kind of things. Like, oh, dude, I just need to get a good 7, 8 hours of sleep each day. I was averaging maybe 5 and thinking that that was okay. And obviously it was catching up on me. So again, it was having someone say, yes, do what's necessary for the business. Here's what you need to do something that's best for the personal. Like, hey, your business is not going to run if you're not healthy. If you're not doing things, you're not going to be able to provide for your family. You're not able to be there for your family if you're not if you're not healthy. So for me, it was kind of like no screen time, right, less screen time at night. Having the dedicated, like, oh, I'm going to sleep now. This is what, have the 8 hours. Here's what I'm going to do. And then even adding routines like exercise, walking. And again, I'm not weightlifting. I'm not doing any, like I mean, I'm trying to to
Right.
get to that point. But just 30 minutes of walking each day has made such a huge strides for me to be able to do more for my family, for myself, and for my business. So that's where I think your program has really helped me to really identify that all of this is connected. And in order for all of this to work, you have to see where those connections are and be able to, see what works best for you, and be able to do that.
The interesting thing, a lot of people are like, oh, I did it for a couple days. I'm like, great, do it
Correct.
for a week, do it for 2 weeks. And the only way we know, like you brought up journaling, is that if we write down where we're at and then we write down where we're at now, we can see
Correct.
major changes because our brain doesn't realize that. And people are like, well, oh, is this all difficult? I'm like, no, I'm not asking anyone to really add in different things. I'm asking them to take a look at what they're already doing, improve that first.
Correct.
Then you get this interesting feeling of, whoa, this is simple. It's not easy.
Yeah.
And you start doing one thing after another, after another, after another. And you're also supported. You're not doing it by yourself. And what happens is we make excuses like we go on vacation or we go to a seminar and we come back, we're like, got all this energy to do something new. And then we stop doing it. And
Right.
with the group, you don't stop doing it. You just
Mm-mm.
continue to keep going. And there are times you're like, oh, I need a break here and I need to do this. Those are fine. But the reality of it is, are you still doing something to keep yourself on track? And that's why when people come to have a conversation to work with me or interested in working with me, I'm like, listen, if I can't do what you're looking for, I'm going to find someone else who can, or some situation that's going to
Right.
benefit you because you are looking for help. And I would be doing a disservice to someone if I said, hey, nope, sorry, if it's not me, you're on your own bye. And there are a
Right.
lot of people out there who will do that. And it's interesting what I see when we all work together in a group is we're all in different places, but we're all going through similar things. And we have experiences we can relate to each other on how we work through it, or, ooh, this is coming up. And the cool thing is to see like you get in your first house,
Yep.
You've taken some vacations now. You had the ability
Yep.
to go with your daughter, her summer camp
Yep.
or whatever it was, winter, summer.
She did it.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
and you got to do those things. And again, we look at the situation sometimes and we can revert back to, oh my God, it's so stressful. Look at all this. But the reality of it is like, wait a minute. If I didn't do what I was doing, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now. And I have the
True.
ability to enjoy it if I choose to.
Yep.
And that's where sometimes we revert back to our old selves. And the reason I call it our old self is we have to actually sacrifice who we were to go to where we need to be, because that person is who got us to where we are. But now if we want to go further, we got to make some definite changes. And
Absolutely.
again, you didn't do everything in the program, but you did a majority of it. Now
Yes.
imagine if you did everything and kept going, like how much more you can get out of something. And I think that's what people like, oh, I got to do all this. I'm like, you don't have to do anything.
Right.
You choose to. And it's been interesting. And how many years has it been that we've been doing this? 2, 3, what?
Two years for sure. Yeah. It's like 2 years. Yeah.
And so we've watched certain people come and go, and
Yes.
it's interesting on how I reach back out to them to see where they're at, and they haven't moved forward and some have slid back. And, I want to commend you on sticking to it and working through it and having questions and being all right, feeling uncomfortable with time frames that I give
Yeah.
people like, oh, I'm going to do that next week. I'm like, okay, what time? What day?
Right. Right.
And that's what happens is there's always going to be a tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow.
Right.
Okay. Well, what tomorrow? Which one? And I think in life, the people who get very successful at doing things are having people do the things that they don't want to do. Meaning, not that they can't do them, but you bring in someone to help you with the exercise. You bring someone like, hey, oh
Yes.
man, yeah, I could cut my grass, I could do this, but if I get someone to do it, then I give more free time to do what I want to do.
Yep.
People make excuses with kids. Well, we can't go this way because kids, or we got animals, we can't do this. There's always a way if you're willing to figure it out. And that's where really what it comes down to is most people are taking action because they're being reactive to a scenario going on outside of their control. You've taken some major actions that you chose to do. So how do you think those things have helped in the area of like your mental and physical health, your relationship with your
Yeah.
wife, and then in business and growing? And where do you see this going in the next, few months?
So for me, the biggest thing that you've helped me really kind of change and eliminate is, the vocabulary, right? Removing the word try. Because I felt like I was always trying. I was always trying to be there for my kids. I was always trying to be there for my wife. I was always trying to be there on the business. And it was really more of just like, okay, no, it's no more trying. It's like, what are we going to do? What's important as part of these kind of things? So, not only doing things, I'm going to try to exercise. No, we're going to exercise. We're going to get the sleep. We're going to do these. So changing the mental mindset of how to think about, what's important, prioritizing that, and then getting it done felt like, oh, wow, I can do it for my business. I'm like, wow, I can do it for my personal. Oh, wow, I can do it in my relationships. So really just being consistent all across the board in regards to how to really do certain things, and really, eliminate the barriers that I've put on myself. And what I've seen is just, those opportunities, take advantage. I can do more. I can try more. And trying, and it's saying, no, I do it. And then it's, oh, well, that worked out. Well, no, it didn't work out. Okay, well, let's do something else. Let's, we're going to do something here. So I think for me, that's really opened up my opportunities to allow me to kind of, I'm going to fail. If something works, great, fantastic. But if I fail, what did I learn? Let's try it again. Let's do something again. And
Yeah,
that's
the
what,
thing I find interesting about this whole process is when people start to get what they've always wanted, they sometimes push it away because they don't believe they deserve it. And they're like, what's the
correct.
catch? And the funny thing
Yeah.
that I asked George to do, because his wife has a different love language, and that is of touch, is give her hugs. And people are like, what are you talking about? I'm like, give her what she wants. She
Right.
wants physical touch. And what did she first say when you started? And you wanted to connect to her too.
Yeah. This
So when you
wasn't
started
yet.
doing the physical touch, what was her reaction to it at first?
What are you doing? And why, what's wrong?
Right. Well, you're getting exactly what you want.
Right.
Why would there be anything wrong with it? And as you continued to do it and not say fine if you don't want it. So you
Right.
keep doing it. How did that start to shift?
Well, I mean, it was in the beginning. It was like, well, you're doing it because I want it. It's because but it turned into more of just, like, no, okay, the whole was she was worried that I'm just doing it to do it, shifted. I mean, it was no, he's doing it because he truly wants to. And I've it's not that I've always wanted to. It's just not me. I'm not that type of physical and kind of, I mean, I can
What are
be,
the
I give
benefits
hugs.
of it though?
Well, I mean, she obviously that trust. It's, she now knows that I can really, I'm acknowledging of her love. I may not be very good at the love language, but the fact that I'm trying has built a stronger relationship and
Well, you're
build
not
that
trying, you're
trust.
actually doing.
That's
And
correct. I'm just, again, still see the word. I still have
I
to
know
still have to work on it.
it's one
But
of those
yes,
things that
the fact that I'm
happens.
doing it right is still there, but she's seeing the fact that it's coming from a genuine place.
And
It's not him, but he's doing it, and I
right.
appreciate it.
And the thing is, it's the first, it's like when you're working with people when it comes to saving money.
Yeah,
You're not asking them to do anything they're not capable of doing. But when they
correct.
do it, they're like, oh, they make all
Yeah,
these excuses. And I've looked at certain scenarios and I'm like, okay, it's time to get a interest rate credit card to move some stuff over because it's going to eliminate this interest payment, which can then go to principal. And I think
right.
that's the biggest scare is when I open this door, how bad is it really? And
Correct.
that's in any area of your life is like, oh, if I start going down this path, is it really going to make a difference? It's going to be difficult. Why do I want to change this? Because we're comfortable, even though it's dysfunctional, because we're
Right.
accustomed to it.
Well, I'm
What is
used
the
to the
one
mess,
thing that you
right? I'm
could tell
used to the
people
mess.
about that? Like, what's that one thing you could tell people, like, you know what, really, it's better after you've worked through the uncomfortable knowing and observing, knowing it, and then taking action to improve it. How does that really impacted your overall life to
I
let
mean,
people
so
know?
knowing that, here's the thing. If we're uncomfortable in change is hard.
Right.
Change is difficult. Knowing that, just accepting the fact that you're gonna feel uncomfortable in the change, and you're doing it for a reason. Why are you changing? Obviously you need to know what your why is. What's driving you for that change? Knowing that it's uncomfortable should show you though that we're in this position where we're trying to be better. We're doing things better. But sometimes it's going to feel like, ooh, this is awkward. Why? Because we've never been this way. We've never done these things. So in the beginning, it's always going to feel a little bit off. Like, if okay, is this real? Is this right? Is this right? But I think overall, for me, that's a mechanism that we use to try to, like, oh, it's not going to work. You see, it's uncomfortable, so it's not going to work. It has to be. It has to be. It's me. I'm unique. It's never, nothing's ever going to work because it's just my situation. I'm so unique.
And guess what happens?
Yeah,
It doesn't work.
yeah. So I think for you, for most of us, if we're going to go through this process, I think it's really more just embracing the uncomfortableness, being able to push through that, and being able to see, what are some of the things that are going to really put you in a position where I feel good, that I feel uncomfortable, but I'm seeing progress. What are some of those things? And you allow us to really visualize that. Like, hey, if you're hitting this number, man, that's uncomfortable, but man, if I get halfway through that to that number or to that feeling or to that situation, you start to believe, like, you know what? I think I know I can do this. I know I can do these kind of things. I may not have, we're not fully at that goal, but I'm seeing the progress. Even though I feel a little uncomfortable or does this feel right? I'm like, look at the results. And that's where I've always looked at, is like the results. I have more
And
clients, I have more
right.
people, I have a house, I have better relationships, I'm sleeping better, I've got better health. My doctor's saying, good job, keep it up. So it's just, those are for me, those are the signs. And I'm like, okay, I'm doing something. Let's
So,
keep working that.
so this is the interesting thing that I just want you to share with people.
Yeah.
Where do you think you would be if you never did this?
Oh, be honest. So I think I would still be in my other job complaining about where I'm at. Oh, I didn't get the promotion, complaining and, all that good stuff. I was going to do New Yorker on you, but I'm going to try and be nice. So I probably wouldn't be in the house because I'd be like, what if I can't, we can't do, could we try this, that. So I would be in my way. And from a business standpoint, I probably wouldn't have the amount of clients and the things that I'm doing as well. So I think I would be still stuck where I would be,
How's that feel to
4 years
know
ago.
that you could have been there still? Does that feel weird?
It feels weird. And I'm like, and I'm a person that I've always tried to like do more, have more, want more. But I know that if I just didn't do certain things, I probably would still be in that rut. You get to a certain age, sometimes you get into those
Mhm.
kind of ruts. But what you need something or someone to really kind of, hey, there's better, there's more. Why are you stuck? Why are you still here?
And that's the whole thing is what I like to bring people like George to the realization is that the only thing we're limiting is our belief system. And when we limit that, we get exactly what we ask for. And
Yep.
I always ask the question, what if? And you answered those questions, what if? And you
Yep.
actually got the what ifs to happen.
Yes.
And like one of the guys in the group always say, dude, I don't know why this works, but it works.
It's
Because
true.
if you try to explain this to someone, and it's an interesting concept, you just got to go through it.
Yes,
So
I would agree
people
with
out
that.
there who are listening to this, what would you say the first thing they should at least dip their toe into or take a look at to realize like this is not could be, it is the thing that works if they do it.
Open-mindedness to wanting to change is going to be something, you need that mindset from that. Take the 5-day challenge to, dip your toe and say if there's a 5-day challenge or something that you can start to really question yourself. Because right now, if you're not questioning yourself and your situation, you're probably too comfortable. And I think that's,
Yeah.
you need something that allows you to question your situation and say, can I have more? Of course, we can always want more. You can always have more, but are you in the position to actually make it a reality? That's the one thing. The other thing that I would say too is, again, I'm part of more of a guys group, and I know there's a lot of men who feel like they're on their own island right now. They're
Right.
alone. And having a forum to be able to get into a room with other men who you think we're all like these islands and we're just like, oh, there's I'm alone or I'm unique and all this other stuff. And then you get in there and you go, damn, there's, we've got a fresh set of guys who could just, we just hang out, talk about how do we better ourselves. And there's no judgment in that room as well. We are all wanting the best from ourselves and, all those opportunities to be able to, push ourselves and hold each other accountable as well. So for me, if you're looking for that type of change and an opportunity to have camaraderie with others who are going through what you're looking to do from a change standpoint to hold you accountable to that, by all means, I would say dip your toe, try it, if there's a 5-day or if there's go to one of the group, calls. I think Sean will allow you to at least show up.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
think he's that bad. Or schedule that one-on-one to really, Sean will, obviously you're very open and you're very honest in regards to that, but what the questions you ask, the things you say really hit home to, that particular, it feels like you're connecting with that person, even if it's a one-on-one for 30 minutes, you're connecting to kind of like get us out of the uncomfortableness as quickly as possible. Get
And that's
get
the
you
thing. And
start
then
thinking.
then people are like, well, I get to relax. I'm like, no, you don't. Let's go. Like
Yeah.
there's no relaxing. It's like working
No.
out. Okay, now you can do more weight. Now you can do more reps. There's
Right.
always something you can tweak in your life to improve it. And that's the whole concept is as we improve ourselves, we get to spread this knowledge and to help other people. And I've seen you do a lot with the coaching you've done
Yep.
and just inspiring other people, giving comments in the group. And I appreciate, you showing up week after week. And I know, life things and stuff happen, but working with you and getting to watch you go through this, that's why I love this. Now I
Yep.
also have to charge people because my wife would disown me. But that was the whole premise
You
of
know your
why I
value,
didn't.
Sean. You know your
Yeah,
value. That's
you
all
got to know
you
your
can
value.
say.
So if you guys got some great value from this, definitely put a comment down below of
Please.
this video. And if you're interested in learning more about it, please feel free to message me or again, put a comment down below. I'll answer all those. And George, I appreciate you being here. Appreciate
Thank
the
you.
hard work you've done. I'm amazed
Thank
at the
you again.
accomplishments and it's cool to be a part of your journey. So thank you.
Again, it's always it's nice to have accountability from someone who cares and really wants the best from you. So I do appreciate what you've done for me. And again, guys, the one-on-one, do something, get connected with Sean. I guarantee you, he will help you achieve whatever it is that you're looking to improve upon in your life. So I appreciate you, brother.
Thanks, George. Bye, guys.